All right, in just a few hours, Dr. Anthony Fauci will appear before the Senate Homeland Security Committee over his response to COVID-19 as newly released diary entries reveal what Fauci really thought of the pandemic. Chief Congressional Correspondent Chad Pergram is on Capitol Hill with the latest. Hey, Chad.
Good morning, guys. Well, you've heard of a hot seat. Well, this is the essence of a hot seat on Capitol Hill. This is where Dr. Anthony Fauci is going to be testifying before Rand Paul's committee later today. Remember, there's lots of questions today from Republicans, scorching questions about his diaries, what started the pandemic, masks, and lockdowns. Listen.
He was the reason I ran for office. His policies where he treated American citizens like lab rats was totally and utterly disgusting. And I'm going to see if he has even the courage to just apologize to the American people for what they put us through.
Republicans will grill Fauci about his contention that COVID originated in nature and not in a Wuhan lab. Fauci oversaw grants for research conducted at that very facility.
From Anthony Fauci, one of the most important revelations was that in January of 2020, he already acknowledged that the virus didn't come from the wet market. No one admitted that he had a conflict of interest, that because he had funded the lab, he had a strong argument for saying it didn't come from the lab.
In a diary entry from January 26, 2020, Fauci even wrote that, quote, the market was not the source, it was the amplifier. He later asserted that the virus jumped from animals to humans. Democrats are not as interested in the diary.
I don't track or keep a diary of media on me or whatever, but whatever, I mean, to each their own. And I really haven't read it. I wouldn't write one, so I'm not going to really read his in depth.
Now, Republicans believe that Democrats kind of held Fauci in exalted status, especially during the pandemic. Anthony Fauci, he has testified before Congress dating all the way back to the 1980s. Today, he appears under subpoena. Right?
All right, Chad, there's going to be a lot of action if these guys, in fact, prepared. Let's bring in Kansas Senator Roger Marshall, who practiced medicine for more than 2 decades before running for office. Senator, what's your biggest question today?
Yeah. Well, good morning, Brian. I think just what Fauci said in his diary versus what he told the American public, that he destroyed the trust of the American public for government and for vaccines as well. I mean, you're starting to rattle off some of these incongruencies. On January 26th, in his own diary, he says that this virus came that it did not come from that wet market. And then just 5 days later, he's talking to 12 of the greatest scientists that do gain-of-function research. 10 of the 12 say that this came from a laboratory, not from nature. He didn't tell that to the president. He didn't tell that to the American public. And then it was one lie after another. 6 foot of social distancing, the mask, no mask, the vaccine stops the spread, all the lies that he told. So I think we just need to show the American public the differences between what was in the diary versus what he was communicating to the American public, to the president, and then eventually when he obstructs Congress and later on in hearings.
I mean, he's got to answer this question. Should we believe the diaries or your testimony? And tell me right now what's true. And then if he does commit perjury, then he gets himself in legal trouble. Auto-pen immunity goes cast aside, right?
Right, and I think this is why we really need a special counsel. We're going to touch the tip of the iceberg today, but we have asked the Attorney General to start his own special counsel to figure out all these types of things. Is this auto pen part, is that even legitimate? Is it proactive? Does it go forward? Or is it just cover what's behind us as well? And then we can get into the origins. We can get, really, Fauci funded gain-of-function research for decades. And I'm so proud that yesterday the White House took our advice and they banned gain-of-function research. Since 2021, we've been calling for this ban.
Hey, by the way, Barack Obama wanted to ban it, and he thought it was banned. Some of the quotes. Now we know the market was not the source. It was another amplifier. Having said that, somewhere the virus jumped from animals to humans. January 26th, on masks. Big issue today is whether we should be recommending masks for everyone. We probably were saying too strong, saying masks do not work. Remember, he said they don't work, and then he said you got to wear 2. So we can't forget all the contradictions. I mean, he came down and said, I did not recommend locking anything down. In private, his diary says he advised Mayor de Blasio, Governor Newsom, to shut things down and bragged about Ann O'Leary, how much success he had. He said, I never said to shut down businesses in public. In private, he wrote that he told de Blasio to close down New York City bars and restaurants. I mean, this is nonstop. He wrote the truth, perhaps in his diary, and then was in love with the publicity that he was getting in the middle of a pandemic that's killing millions. And if you look at it per capita, no country did worse in the pandemic in terms of deaths than we did, including if you take the vaccine. He said you have nothing to worry about, and he knew people were getting infected anyway.
Yeah, so he was drunk with fame. He had a conflict of interest. He'd been funding this gain-of-function research. He had hoped to get a Nobel Prize for this gain-of-function research someday, and instead we get 1 million Americans died from it. 20 million people across the world died from this virus, and he still wants to do more of it. He always said that he thought the benefits outweighed the risk of gain-of-function research. But I think, again, he was so drunk with his own fame that he was emotionally conflicted since he funded this virus, and then he overcompensates. But again, and then at the end of the day, he destroys the trust of the American people for the government and created all this vaccine hesitancy as well. He even himself, it's now being retorted, took the vaccine and he had some type of a pulmonary infarction. I mean, who didn't have a friend that took this vaccine and had some type of complication, a stroke, a blood clot, a young man getting some type of heart inflammation as well? That's what destroyed the trust in the American people for our government.
And just bother me, Senator Fetterman comes out and says, I'm not going to read the diaries. That means you're not preparing. You have to prepare. Democrat or Republican, ask real questions, and you'll see what answers we get, unless he takes the fifth, which could happen. Senator Marshall, thank you so much.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.